I want to share an interesting case study with you of a 42-year-old female who came to see us with a lot of digestive disorders. Now, this is a woman who has access to great health care. So she's not someone who doesn't have access to doctors. She does. She made good use of it. But still, she had this cramping, twisting pain in her abdomen. She had a lot of bloating. She just felt awful in her own words. She also suffered with constipation. She only moved her bowels 2 to 3 times a week versus 2 to 3 times a day, which would be normal. She's also overweight. What else? Oh, she was awakening 3 times a night, so her sleep was interrupted, and she had sinus issues and was under a lot of stress. So these are the things that she presented to us with. She also knew from her blood testing that her cholesterol was high. Basically, her blood lipids or blood fats across the board were elevated and abnormal. Also, her pancreas wasn't working the way it should, so her doctors had concern about that and it turning into pancreatitis, which it hadn't yet, but it seemed to be en route to that. So her husband actually had been a patient for over a year, and he had mentioned several times, he goes, I've got to get my wife in. I've got to get my wife in. I'm like, okay, let's do that. So she finally arrived and started a program, and it was last September when she started. And by December, so 3 months, and our programs tend to be anywhere from 3 to 5 months. So 3 months later, she had her sort of progress report that we do mid-program as well as at the end of the program. So this was at the end of the program, and she, all her GI complaints were gone. She had no bloating, she had no cramping pain, that was completely gone. She was moving her bowels every single day, which she had never done in her entire life. And she was sleeping well. And I didn't mention earlier that she has a very stressful job, so that was something to consider. But the stomach pain, the bloat was gone. As I said, the constipation was gone, and we were awaiting her blood results. And so those hadn't arrived yet. But basically, she felt great. However, she weighed herself, and she had 30 pounds that she wanted to lose, and she hadn't lost any weight. So she's like, appreciate everything you've done. I feel terrific, but I haven't lost a pound, and that's problematic. So we had her do a visit with our registered dietitian, who really looked at, we found, I guess I should hearken back to, we definitely found that she had food sensitivities. We found that she had infections in her gut that we treated. So these were the things that we were addressing. But within that, and she exercised. She didn't exercise very vigorously, but she moved her body. She exercised, and but here we were with the weight hadn't changed. So we had her meet with our registered dietitian, and they talked about stress management. Also talked about kind of her macros, as far as macros is referring to how much protein, carbs, and fats you're consuming in a day, and it was a bit too high in the carbs, a bit too low in the protein. So worked with that. I was just talking to my registered dietitian about this yesterday, because I did want to talk to you all about this case study, and she said it was simple. She said it was just one visit, and I made some simple recommendations. And one thing to think about with the stress is stress produces cortisol, and cortisol will tend to cause you to hold on to weight and prevent you from losing weight and or gaining weight. So the stress management tips were definitely taken to heart, and in 3 weeks she lost 7 pounds. And that's pretty fast. We tend to say, 1.5 pounds a week. So this was rapid, and likely that will slow down and temper into a more stable weight loss. But We definitely figured out some things that were not contributing to the major symptoms, but were contributing to the weight. So that's what we do here, and I thought it was a great testimonial, just to give you an idea of how we do look at the body as a whole and how we have a lot of tools. Now, most people who have weight to lose see weight loss during their program. She, unbeknownst to us, had a lot of although she was eating healthy and she was avoiding her food sensitivities and she was doing those things and she was moving her body, the stress level, we hadn't really gotten into the whole, stress management aspect of it. And then also it turned out her macros were quite askew. They weren't as good as they should be or as balanced as they should be for a woman of her age. So that was a great change. And again, that's what we do here. We look at the body as a whole. That's why we assess mid-program and at the end of the program to say, okay, what have we accomplished? What's left to do? What other areas are left to address? Because she was in terrible pain when we saw her initially. And so, of course, that was the thrust, is to get her out of this terrible cramping pain that she was just miserable. Her life was a misery on top of a stressful job. So that all got handled, and now we're on our way to the weight loss goals being achieved. And yeah, I thought it was a great thing to share. But let me know if you like testimonials. Generally, I don't do them on this channel, but if that gives you an idea better of, what we do and that inspires you, let me know if you like them. And if you don't, then, I'll just go back to what I've always been doing, which is just pure education about health. So if you like the channel, you like what we talk about, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you yourself are ready to improve your health and you like the natural approach that we have, we can offer you a consultation. We treat patients across the country via telemedicine, so where you live is not a problem, regardless of where that is. And we'll talk soon.